Hey everybody, Pete Bauer here, and I wanted to tell you about a trip I took to San Jose, and I visited the Winchester House. Now, the Winchester House was built by Sarah Winchester, the widow of William Winchester, who created the Winchester rifle. Now, after his death and previously the death of a young child, she contacted a medium out in the East Coast, and she said, "You really need to get away from the spirits and go to the West Coast. But all the spirits of all the people who died from a Winchester gun may follow you. So you need to build this house. The noise of the construction will keep the spirits away." So Sarah started building this house, and it was a magnificent house. The income from the Winchester fortune was $1,000 a day, which back then in the late 1800s was equivalent to $27,000 a day today. So all the work in this house is amazing. It's top notch. It's amazing. But every night at midnight, she would ring a bell and invite the spirits in. She would have a seance and then listen to the spirits. And if they gave her any guidance on how to build this house, she would take notes. And then at 2 o'clock, she'd ring another bell. And that means the spirits had to go. And the next day, she would visit with her carpenter and say, "This is what we need to build." And a lot of this stuff doesn't make any sense. There's stairwells that go up to roofs and stop. There's doors that open up either to drop multiple floors down or literally outside to nothing. There's a window that's on the floor in between floors. It's really kind of amazing. And if it wasn't so exquisitely built, you'd just think the person was crazy. But as I'm going through this tour and all these twists and turns, and there's this one place where the stairwell literally has 7 turns and you're going up like 40 steps just to go 4 feet. I mean, the steps were like this high. But as I'm going through this tour, of course, the story writer in me thinks of, this is so much like a novel. You know, you start in and it looks like a nice place. It's a normal kind of really beautiful house, and you enter, and then suddenly you got on a hallway and doors open up to walls and there's twists and turns and you don't know where you're going. And as a writer, I often write myself into corners. I wish I was more of a planner and I could plot out the whole story, but that's not the way I work. I kind of have a general idea and then I discover the story as I go. And it's not uncommon that I find myself writing myself into a corner and going, well, how the hell am I going to get out of this? So as I'm going through this weird but amazing house, it's just massive, I'm thinking this is a lot like a novel. I'm like walking through a novel. And it also reminded me of the human, the primal human nature of us to tell stories. Everything we do is about stories, whether it's sculpture or painting or music or that house in and of itself is a story. And it's probably one of the reasons I love being a storyteller, because it kind of taps into that very instinctive way of expressing ourselves as like the human species. So as I went through this amazing house built by this very interesting woman who treated her servants really well. She was demanding, but she gave them free housing. She paid for their kids to go to school. I mean, she wasn't crazy. She was just a slave to her fears. And in a way, it's kind of sad. But the overall experience just kind of reminded me of novel writing, which I guess isn't a surprise, and the instinctive need as human beings to connect and share through story. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. It was such an interesting experience, and I highly recommend you go on that tour if you get a chance. Anyway, I will see you guys next time.